Hi guys. Today we're going to have a little bit of practice in Photoshop before we start using it to mess with our photos. So what we're going to be doing is creating this little veggie guy collage, and you can use whatever pictures you want. It just needs to have a face and a nose and maybe a little body. And I want at least 10 layers. So when we do this in Photoshop, we're going to be learning about layers, the transforming tool, how to add images, how to turn off the layers, how to flip things. So just some basic things on creating a little collage and getting comfortable with some of the tools and especially the shortcuts. So shortcuts are very, very helpful. So let me minimize that. So what you need to do is I shared a Drive folder with you guys that has a bunch of images. So remember, you need at least 10 different layers, so you may not need to download all of them, but just kind of get an idea of what you want to use for the different parts of the face and the body. If there's something in there that you want that's not in there, you can always just go find an image. Let's say I want a dragon fruit. I'm going to go to images. And then something that's helpful is if you go up here and do large size images, because if you have an image that's very small, if you're trying to resize it, make it bigger, smaller, or especially bigger, it might be kind of pixelated. Let's see if I can find anything good. Alright, I'm going to take forever doing this because that's what I do. And it doesn't matter if there's a background or not because I'm going to show you how to remove that. So let's just take this one. So then I'm going to right click, save image as, and then this automatically going to the folder. So you want a folder. So wherever you downloaded your veggie images on your OneDrive, I would put it in there. Then I'm going to save. I don't need to go to your website, sorry. Then the next thing I'm going to do, so you downloaded your images. You're going to go to Creative Cloud, and you're going to open up Photoshop. So open up the latest version. Mine needs to be updated, but I am going to ignore that. And then now I'm going to go to New File. So these are my recent files. So when you're doing stuff, they have like default sizes and things. We're going to mess with that later. But you just want to, I'm going to go to Custom. And then you just want it to be the size of a piece of paper. So 8.5 by 11 inches. And then you can make it landscape or portrait. Since I'm building my guide this way, I'm going to make it portrait. Our resolution, I'm just going to make it 150 inches because we don't really need it to be high resolution. We're not really going to be printing this or anything. So I'm just going to go create. So now I have my workspace. I have a nice white document. So over here is your toolbar. So you can make it like a little long line with this arrow, or you can make it like this. Doesn't matter, it's just preference. And then for each tool, if you hold the left click, there's more options under each. We are not going to use a lot of these today, but just know that that's what they are. We're going to be using selection tools today. And then this is your move tool. And then when you click on one of these, up here is the options with that tool. So this is a selection tool, and there's all sorts of things like the feathering, the style. So we don't need to worry about that right now. But just know any tool you pick, so that's a healing brush, these are the options with that tool. This is your foreground background. Up at the top are your menu items, just like any other program. So we're not going to be using a whole lot of these today. We will be in the file menu. And then over here, this is very important. Right here is your layers. So this is your window with these other options. So layers, every time I add an image, it'll add a layer. So I'll show you that. And then when we go to actually working with photographs, here's our adjustments. So brightness, levels, hue. So we don't need to worry about this right now, but just so you know, that's where it is. And then there's some other options next to the layers. We're not going to worry about what those are right now. And then there's also more options up here. So we don't need to worry about any of this except for the layers today. And then down here are some options with the layers. We will be using these down here. And then with these, if you kind of go in the middle, you can see you can make it larger or smaller. You can also hide them. You can add another panel. So there's so many things you could do. Okay, so let's get started. So what we want to do is import all those images in, right? There's two ways I'm going to show you how to do it. Kind of three. The first way is to go to File, Place Embedded. So this is just going to automatically to my folder. If yours doesn't, make sure you go on your OneDrive, find your folder where you save things. Then I'm going to pick the pumpkin. Doing it this way, you can only do one at a time. And then here's my pumpkin. It has the transform tool guidelines on it. So right now I can go to the corner and make it bigger or smaller. If you hold the shift key, you can stretch it out if that's what you want. I'm just going to let it go so it goes back. So I'm just going to make it like that for now. I'm going to hit return. So I'm going to do it again. So I go File, Place Embedded, pick the next thing. I'm going to pick that kale. And then make it a little bit smaller, hit enter. So every time I add a picture, I want you to look down at the right. You can see it adds another layer. So think of it, it's like a sandwich. You got your bottom, you got your cheese, you got your mayo, whatever, turkey. So whatever's at the top shows, and whatever is at the bottom is kind of like buried underneath. So the other way to add images, if you don't want to do one at a time like this, is you go File, Open, and then I'm going to select a bunch. So I'm just holding my control key. I don't think I used that one yet. I haven't used a raspberry. I don't know. I'm just picking some. I'll figure it out later. And then if I need to add more, I can always add more. I wouldn't add too many at once. My computer's kind of fast. Your guys' desktops are not very fast. And you don't want to clog up the computer. But now you can see how small that tomato is. I'm going to go back to my Move tool, which is up top left. So I have each little tab up here is the file. So what I want to do is take this and put it on the other one, correct? So if you go to this little arrow right here, Untitled is my layer with the pumpkin and the kale. These are all the files I opened. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go one by one and copy and paste them. So I'm going to do you have to memorize the shortcut. Control A to select all. I know I did it right because I see marching ants. Control C to copy. Then I'm going to go here and do Control V. Now you see how small that tomato is? I might end up getting rid of that later. Then I'm going to just exit out of that one. So I'm going to go to my next one. Do you remember what they are? Control A, select all. Control C to copy. And then Control V is in violet to paste. Now this one's kind of big. So I'm going to do Control T to transform. I'm just going to drag it. It doesn't really matter. You could leave it big. And I'm going to hit enter. So I'm just going to add all of these on here. Control A, Control C, Control V. You can also, if you can see it, you can take this and like drag it on there. I can never get it to work right. So, but you can drag it too. Oh, this one already has a blank background. Nice. Control A, Control C, Control V. So anytime you see a background that is that checkerboard, that means it's transparent. So someone did all the work for me on that one. Control A. Oops, didn't work. See, there's no marching ants. Control A, Control C, Control V. All right, I'm just going to do this really quick. So it's up to you whether you like to do it one by one or not. Control C, Control V. Just make sure you exit out of them as you paste them, just so you don't want to have extra things open. And then that one also, someone already made it so it didn't have a background. Sweet. Control A, Control C, Control V. All right. Uh-oh. So I didn't do that one right. Can you see I have 3 broccolis? So I'm going to hold the Shift key. I'm going to select both of those layers. You see they're highlighted, and I'm going to drag it to the trash can. I'm going to go back. So I'm just going to click around. Control A, Control C, Control V. There we go. All right, so I have a bunch of layers. So what you can do, because this is kind of a lot at first, is I'm going to click the eyeball on the ones I don't want to work on right now. And then if you end up not wanting it later, so let's say I'm like, I don't really want this tomato, you can hold on to it. So I'm left clicking and holding onto it, and I'm just going to drag it down to the trash can. So then it's gone. So all these layers are still here. I just can't see them because the eyeball's not on. So let's just start with this pumpkin. I'm going to turn off the background just so you can see what I'm doing. So remember, this means it's transparent, it's see-through. So Photoshop has this awesome tool now where you can just remove the background. And it works really, really good for pictures like this. That is just something plain. There's not a lot going on in the background. It's just a solid white background. So I'm going to make sure that layer is highlighted and do remove background. Boom. Super easy, huh? All right. So I have my pumpkin. I'm going to put the background back on for now. Then I have my kale. So the same thing with the kale. It has a white background. There is a little bit of a problem right here because it has a shadow. So I'm going to turn the pumpkin off so I don't have to deal with that. So let's just see what the remove background does. Ooh, and it worked. And then I'm just going to turn that off so I can see. Sweet. All right. So I'm going to show you old school how to do it. So I'm going to turn off those 2 layers. So I'm just going up, and I'll explain this in a minute. So this is the little raspberry. So I'm going to Control T and make it a little bit bigger, and then I'll just resize it, hit enter. So let's say I just want to select one of these, right? I can try to remove the background. And it did an okay job, but I don't want all of that. I'm going to do Control Z as in zoo to undo. But let's practice some selection tools. So I'm going to go 1, 2 down, and I'm going to do the quick selection tool. And then if you can see up here, there's a plus. So what I'm doing is it's kind of picking up the colors and it's adding and creating a selection. So there's like those little hairy bits. I don't know if I'll be able to get those. So I'm going to do Control plus to zoom in, and then you can hold the space bar and zoom down. And then brackets, make it bigger and smaller. It's alright. It's not perfect. I'm not expecting perfection with this assignment, but I do want you to practice. So let's say it does a little bit more than what you want. What you can do is come up here and go to the minus. So I'm going to like minus that, minus that. So it's not perfect. I'm going to zoom back out, Control minus. And then what I can do is I can come up here where it says select and mask. And you can see, if you come up here where it says view, you can see what I have picked is highlighted. So it's just different ways of viewing how I made that selection. So this is really good if you just want to see exactly what that shape is. And this is what it looks like. So you don't need to use this tool. I like to do it just to kind of see, make sure I got what I wanted to. And then this is, you can like play around with the edges. You can like fuzz them out a little bit or not. I'm just going to do okay. Then what I'm going to do is create what's called a layer mask. So if you see this down here, this is called a layer mask. So it's like next to the layer. So this is showing me everything that I highlighted or I selected out of that layer that shows up. So I'm going to hit this button right here and it makes a layer mask. So now it hid everything. So black conceals, white reveals. And then you can see right here. Let me go back to my move tool. So now I just have that little raspberry. So the original image is still there. So if I want to get it back, I can get it back. This is called a non-destructive edit because the original file is still there. I haven't deleted anything. If I just went and used the eraser tool on here and just erased it, those pixels are gone. It's gone forever. So this is another thing where Photoshop is pretty amazing that you can just keep going back and forth. All right, so I got this guy right here. Got my layer mask, and then I got these. So I'm gonna go to the next one, which is the eggplant. I'm gonna make sure I'm on that layer. Another selection tool, so I'm 2 down, is this object selection. And this is kind of the same thing. It's just a different way to do it. So this is just selecting one, and it's pretty good. So you can see it's selecting the background. So like here, and then right here, the button to make a layer mask. And then it just picked that one. So that's another way to do it. No right or wrong way to do it. Where it gets tricky is if you have a background in there. So I have that. It's already gone. So like this one's going to be a little more challenging. So let's see what happens. Select subject. Did it pretty good, didn't it? And then we're going to make layer mask. Ta-da! Okay, this one again. Click on it. Perfect. And then the layer mask button is right here. Photoshop has gotten so much better since I've used it many years ago. All right, now the blueberry one. This one I'm going to use the tool so I can try the object selection, and it's pretty good. I want that one. I'm going to use it for an eyeball. I'm going to do ta-da. This one has a transparent background, so it's already done. And last is this little mushroom. So you could see this object selection. Not great with this one because there's a lot going on. So let's try quick selection. So you could see this one is a little more challenging because the values of this picture are kind of the same because it's picking up edges. Let me move this out of the way. Get out of the way. Thank you. Oop. And look, I'm on the minus. So I need to make sure I'm on the plus too. So if this is like a mess with the marching ants, what you can do is Control D to deselect. All right, so I'm going to start over. Ooh, this one's kind of a hot mess. So if it's like not working, we're going to try a different one. Control D. There is a polygonal lasso tool, which selects things in lines. There's a lasso tool. There's also a magic wand. So sometimes the magic wand will work. Oh, that one's looking like garbage too, guys. So I'm going to use this selection brush tool. I'm going to control plus. So it's like kind of like a big paintbrush. So the basic Photoshop stuff does really well when you don't have a lot going on. Like if it's already on a clear background. But like stuff like this, like you see how blurry those edges are? I'm probably not even going to use this mushroom. I didn't realize it was that blurry. Let me move this down. It's still not kind of getting what I want. Oh no, and then I made another mistake. You see how I'm on that layer? So I made a layer mask on the wrong layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click and I'm going to delete that. Alright, and then I made a layer mask on the right layer. And you can see it's kind of sucks. I don't like it. I'm going to delete it. If I wanted to, I could get very precise with the polygonal lasso tool. But it's already been 20 minutes just to do this. So let's build our guy. Alright, so here is our pumpkin. I don't remember. What did I use? So I used the pumpkin as the head. You don't have to use the pumpkin as the head. And then I have the squash. I'm going to use the pumpkin and then the squash. Is that exactly what I did? Probably. Not very creative. So to move these around, Photoshop's really nice now. Like if I click on it, it's automatically recognizing that layer. So for the pumpkin, I'm going to do Control T and I can make it larger or smaller. And then I'm going to click on this. I'm just going to bring that layer down just so I'm working on them in order. I'm going to do Control T, transform. And that's going to be my nose. I can even do it that way if I want. I'm going to do it this way though. Okay, and press enter. Alright, now I'm going to make some eyes. What did I got? Raspberry. Blueberry. Alright, the blueberry is going to be my eye. And then I'm just going to drag this down. I'm just going to work on the ones I'm working on like down here. You see? Okay, so I'm going to do Control T. And then I want the eyes to match, so I'm going to make a second one. So I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to hold on to this layer, left click, and drag it to the plus. And then you can see it says layer copy. Now I have a copy. I'll also say if this is kind of confusing or it's just saying layers, you can double click on this and call it, name the layers. So I can say this is blueberry 2 if you want. If it doesn't bother you, then. But if you're doing something like really complicated with a bunch of things, you probably want to name some of your layers. Alright, but it's like, well, I'm looking at it. I want it to be like opposite though, like a mirror. So I'm going to do Control T, and then this button right here will mirror it for me. And then enter. Always hit enter when you're done. Alright, that's looking alright. If I want to edit all of these as one, like let's say I want to make it smaller, I'm going to hold the Shift key and select those layers. Do Control T, and now it selects it as a group. I can do that. You can put them all in a group, but I'll show you that later. All right, I'm gonna keep trucking. What do I got next? I got some kale. I like that for hair. So I need to move this whole thing down a little bit. And then, so it looks like it's in front and I want it behind. So if you remember, I'm going to hold this layer and I'm going to put it, I like it right there. And then I want to move all of these at once. So I'm going to hold the shift key and pick the top. So now I've selected all of those. Now I can move them all together. I hope you guys think this is as fun as I do, because I think this is pretty fun. Okay. Forgot on my veggie guy. What did I use? I think I just gave him feet. Alright, I have some broccoli. What can I use the broccoli for? I can use the broccoli for arms. I expect your guys's to be better than mine. Alright, I got this weird squash. So I'm going to do Control T. I'm going to hold the shift key. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to drag that. Oh, that looks like a funny nose too. Use that one as a nose. As part of the body, you can kind of see it peeking out over there. And then, see, I got watermelon, obviously, is a good mouth. I think a kiwi would also be a good mouth. I'm going to do Control T. Bring that down. Oh, now it looks like he has boogers. Really, you should make sure you're on the right layer and not just keep clicking it like I am. So I want to see what that looks like. Broccoli. Oh, I want broccoli for hair. Okay. Do Control T. Oh. Uh-oh. Let me pull that behind. Ooh, looking fancy. All right, let me finish this up. I expect yours to be better than mine. So I'm going to use this for feet. I kind of need to move this whole thing up. There we go. Ah, I didn't move this. Oh, I gotta move my broccoli back. Oh my god. Perfect. And then I'm going to duplicate because I want 2 feet. Bring it down to the plus. And then should have 2. And then I want to transform it. I want to mirror it. So I'm going to do Control T. Mirror. And then enter. Do I have anything for arms? You guys just gonna have to bear with me. Okay, he's gonna have like raspberry arms. So I'm gonna do Control T. Spin this around. He's a mutant. Duplicate. Control T. Mirror. And you can make as many copies of something as you want. I would like you to have 10 layers. So I got plenty right here. And I'm just going to, I want to move his feet behind the squash. So I just press shift, selected both of them, and I'm dragging both of those layers behind. That looks kind of weird. I don't know if I like that. This is, oh, I know what I want to do. I'm gonna Control T, I'm going to rotate it, and then it's going to look like he has shoes. Oh my god. That still looks kind of weird. Alright, so I think you guys can tell I could do this for like 2 hours. So when you're done, you have your masterpiece. If you want to find a background, you can find a background. If you want to change the color of the background, you can click the background layer. You can use the paint can, and then it's just whatever. Click the white, find a color. Doesn't matter. Or you can paste an image in there. So maybe you want to, I don't know, put them in an orchard or something. That's fine. But if you wanted to change the color, you could just do that. So paint can, click the top. I'm going to do Control Z because I don't want to do that. If you want, you can put some text and make a text layer, and then type your name, Mr. Veggie, and then there's all sorts of options for that. I'm going to leave that as up to you, whether you want to do that as one of your layers or just to play around. And then you can change the font. I have an obscene amount of fonts. You can change the color. Like I said, I'm already getting carried away. But when you're done, to save something in Photoshop, if you go File, Save, it is going to save it as a Photoshop document. I recommend you saving it as a Photoshop document on your computer, in your folder, just in case. Like if you get halfway done and you are not done yet, do not save it as a JPEG. It has to be saved as a Photoshop document. So I'm going to call it Veggie Guy 2. So I'm saving it as a Photoshop document. And then if this shows up, you're golden. Okay, now though, if you're going to turn it in or you want to print it, it has to be a JPEG. So what we're going to do is go File. Oop, that's Frank's sign for that he has to go potty. So I got to wrap it up. File, Export As. And then you're going to see right up here, JPEG. Boom. And then just don't mess with any of that stuff. And you're going to go Export. And then it will save as a JPEG. And then that is the file I want you to turn in. But also make sure you save that Photoshop file just in case. Alright, I hope you guys have as much fun with this as I do. The bell is calling me. If you need help in class, of course ask. Just take your time and have fun with it. This is a pretty fun way, I think, to learn Photoshop. Oh, let me show you one more thing. Another good practice is if you at the end, sorry, I don't want to remake this video, guys. I'm going to click on my layers. I'm going to right click and merge them. This is when you're done with everything, and then it puts it, boom, in one layer. So that's another thing you can do. That's important if you're going to use this for something else as one document. Okay, now I'm done. So I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I know you will make me laugh and it will make me happy. Bye, guys.